But overall, he was Hamas. The Pope was Hamas. But one of the things that Pope Francis did while he was alive, all the way up until the very last moment, because he knew he was living on borrowed time, was to basically bring in a bunch of super fucking progressive popes. I mean, progressive popes, sorry. Super progressive priests into the covenant. Like, he packed the courts, or cardinals, not priests, sorry. He packed the fucking, he packed the courts. The internal machinations of voting for the next pope is, I'm sure you guys have watched Conclave, so you're like somewhat familiar with it. But he added a bunch of cardinals that were woke as fuck, with the hopes that he could continue his legacy of moving the Catholic Church in a progressive direction. I don't want this list. There's a much better. There's a better list than this one out there. There's the one that like looks like a Hearts of Iron 4 list. Yeah, please read the clear confusion. He welcomed trans people and even trans sex workers, but was against gender affirming surgeries and the idea that gender was fluid. Yes, this is amazing. I love the way that they structured this, by the way. What website is this? Need to see a clearer pic? You can right click and open image in the new tab for a clear review. There's no website. I made the pic, but derped on the font size. I love this. I love this image. I love this fucking graphic. This is a pro-trans community. Like, obviously, as soon as I saw this, I was like, this literally is lined up like a paradox game, dude. If there's an American Pope, I will kill myself. Dude, the American Pope is one of the worst. Okay? The American Pope sucks. He is dog shit. I cannot stress this enough. Shocking absolutely nobody. I must repeat, the American Pope is a fucking awful. The German one, I think, is the Pope that I saw that was talking about how Muslims are actually invading Europe, that's another demon. I think we're due for another Nazi Pope, okay? Like, the Catholic Church could not maintain this like woke outlook for as long as it did. I'm telling you. Cardinal, not Pope yet. Yes, the German cardinal. I'm saying like if the German one becomes a pope, it's gonna be fucking devastating.
14
Here, let's look at the process of how the new pope is decided. Okay.
days after the death or resignation of a pope, a conclave is called. Okay, Jack, so who's next?
Well, there's about a dozen frontrunners, but I think that the main one at the moment, Pietro Parolin. Now, he's the Vatican's Secretary of State, and so he knows all the secrets for some significant amount of time, all the skeletons, and there's a reason that he's a frontrunner, because he's considered to be a steady hand.
Pietro Parolin is Pope Francis's chief advisor, and he's been his emissary advocating for climate change mitigation around the world.
The destruction of the environment is an offense against God, a sin that is not only personal but also structural.
And there's also the Philippines Cardinal, Luis Antonio Tagle. He's also fairly moderate.
Children, what do you see in your parents? A gift or an ATM card? Parents, what do you see in your children? A gift or a burden?
We've got Cardinal Peter Erdo from Hungary. Now, he was a very close friend of Cardinal George Pell. He's very popular amongst all of the cardinals. And then you've got people like, will the church go and elect someone who's from the Congo? Fridolin Ambongo is somebody who...
Okay, I thought that they were going to actually show the process instead of just like who the top contenders are. Yeah, here. This is the important part of it. 108 out of the 135 cardinals who are going to be eligible to vote in the next papal conclave were consecrated by Francis. Like, I'll concede that this doesn't necessarily mean Tegel is a lock to win or anything, but the chance that the next pope is going to suddenly be antithetical to Francis is very low. He was a kind and humble guy. He did know how to play palace politics. He stacked the odds. I've seen most of the frontrunners listed as conservative, though. Francis seemed to prioritize cardinals for diversity of the Master Church's global presence, which makes a lot of sense. But from what I read, it doesn't seem like he was selecting for ideological alignment. It's 110, not 108. But yeah, god damn, you guys are so locked in on Catholicism. It's crazy. And no, the black pope the black cardinal is not a good contender either. I'm pretty sure he's like very conservative too. The one from Ghana, at least, I think, is a conservative one. Here, let's watch the conclave process.
The customs of the Catholic Church are clear and carefully orchestrated.
Dude, this is kind of sick. Like, look. I'll say it like this. In this day and age where everything is McDonald's, everything is burger, everything is gun burger, it is kind of cool to see these guys, like, do something so silly, okay? Do something so insane where they just like still dress like this. They go to the same fucking institution that has been around for, thousands, 1,000 plus years. Like, it's cool. It's cool when everything's computer, but the Pope is not computer. I like that. I like that. That's like kind of cool. I think it's dope.
Once the period of mourning is done, the centuries-old tradition to elect a new Pope known as the Conclave.
I love the aesthetic of the Catholic Church, but despise the molesting of kids. Yeah, no shit. Dude, that's so funny. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I agree.
And shrouded in secrecy, gets underway. Over the next 2 weeks, cardinals under the age of 80 from across the globe will descend on Vatican City, holding a series of formal meetings known as general congregations, and more informal, direct conversations too.
And keep in mind that cardinals are human beings, they're
thank you for
political
the
animals
5 gifted subs
as well. They will be meeting in various places. You know, Cardinal X will say to Cardinal Y, I've been...
Like, this, in my opinion, is way cooler than, the British monarchy. Like, I don't know why, but I think this is... I don't know why, but I find this to be like way cooler than I don't know, the shit that like the British monarchy does and all of the bells and whistles associated with it.
Talking about this to Cardinal Zed.
You would have been a hilarious Catholic.
Let's go have a pizza.
It all comes down to the voting. The process so fascinating, so mysterious, it's been recreated in the blockbuster hit Conclave.
We're about to choose the most famous man in the world.
And 1.25 billion souls watching.
The word conclave comes from Latin, meaning long.
You've never been in a Mormon temple? Say what you will about the church as a whole, but the rituals are pretty neat. Yeah, but the Mormons made that shit up too recently for me to take it seriously. That's the difference. Do you not understand? My point is, this shit has been around for a lot longer than the Mormon church has. Like, I'm sorry, if your fucking rituals were rewritten in like 1987, it's gonna be very difficult for me to take it seriously. Like, Mormonism across the board like has very cool churches and yada yada. I know, it's great, whatever. But like, this the same fucking halls in the same space they're occupying for the past 2,000 fucking years, dude. Are you kidding me? That's huge.
Locked with a key. The cardinals are sealed inside the Sistine Chapel, as Michelangelo's frescoes bear witness. No phones, no electronics of any kind, not even any notes. After day one, there are 4 rounds of secret ballots every day, until one name receives a 2/3 majority. Back in 2013, Francis was elected after just 2 days. And this year, the list swirling of likely contenders who may be pontiff material spans the globe from Asia to Africa to the Holy Land to Europe and Canada. Will the next pope be someone close to Francis, set to continue his legacy? or a more conservative voice set on pulling back Francis's progressive agenda?
No.
Also, age is very important. The Vatican is a very strange place because someone who is 65 or 70 is considered too young. Very few cardinals want another papacy that lasts another 30 years.
As the secret voting continues, the cardinals burn the ballots twice a day, and the masses outside await.
And once they get the 2/3 majority vote, the one that they burn is burned with like a chemical that turns white.
The smoke. Black smoke means no pope yet, and white smoke
Habemus Papam
announces a pope has been chosen.
Okay, that was a fascinating look at what comes next. Let's talk a little bit more about the timeline. The funeral, of course, later this week. Preparations for the conclave already getting underway today, is that right?
Yeah, it's already beginning, Craig.
Yeah, look, even the adopted name of Francis comes from, I think, like the humble aesthetics of the Pope. Like he said he wanted not like a crazy funeral, but a normal one, which probably is not going to happen, obviously, because he's the fucking Pope. Chad is Catholic on this day. We are all Catholic today. We are all in support of our Catholic brothers and sisters on this beautiful day. And yeah, amen. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed by thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. Amen. Anyway. If the Philippine got a pope, we are never getting abortion and divorce. That's so funny. All right. Conclave, 15 to 20 days after death, usually 2 to 3 days long.
Just getting news of the laying of the Pope's body in the coffin happening tonight at 8 p.m. Local time in Rome. As you've mentioned, Craig, there are now 9 days of mourning. While, of course, cardinals from around the world will be getting on planes as we speak, heading for the funeral and the conclave. Lots of decisions need to be made. These events will all be watched by billions around the world, not only Catholics, Craig, an important moment for the church. Craig.
Indeed. Our chief international correspondent, Keir Simmons, for us. Keir, thank you.
I think ultimately it doesn't really fucking matter. If the Pope is woke, clearly it doesn't necessarily change a lot of the global Catholic opinion on these issues. Or maybe I'm wrong, and maybe I'm cynical, and you guys will tell me that your Catholic parents have actually been convinced not to be as like hateful because of how woke this fucking Pope is, you know? Pope Francis championed historically progressive stances. Let's take a look at some of those stances, okay? First, why it matters. His advocacy often clashed with the church's more conservative wing, particularly after the pontiff criticized conservative theologians' suicidal attitude towards social change. Francis aimed to give women more leadership roles in church governance. In January, he named the first woman to head a major Vatican office. On climate change, Francis was outspoken against climate change and casted blame on wealthy countries for global warming. Unfortunately, we've gotten to a point of no return, he said in a 2024 CBS News interview. It's sad, but that's what it is. Global warming is a serious problem. Climate change at this moment is a road to death. Francis in 2015 called pollution a sin and cited a moral obligation for international agreements to combat the effects of global warming, per the Washington Post. On LGBTQ plus people, Francis expanded the church's acceptance of same-sex couples and transgender people. In 2023, Francis granted priests the ability to bless same-sex couples under certain circumstances. This rule change didn't alter the church's doctrine concerning same-sex marriage, holding that the blessings cannot be given at the same time as a civil union and can't resemble weddings in any way. He said laws that criminalize homosexuality were unjust. He also decided transgender people could be baptized within the Catholic Church and serve as godparents. But in May, he apologized after reports resurfaced that he used a slur to refer to gay men in a closed-door meeting which, by the way, canonically, he used a term that Austin and I and many others believe is exclusive to gay men. And I think that he used the F slur in a very gay way and not in a way where he was being homophobic. He did it in a very funny way. He did it twice, not once, but twice. It was so firmly a part of his lexicon that he just could not stop using it. So all the gays loved him for it. So I think it's fine, right? If the gays weren't if the gays weren't on board with it, that would be something different. But the gays seemingly were very much on board with it. Okay. Immigration and world issues. France criticized the Trump administration in January and February for its plans to carry out mass deportation of migrants. He condemned deporting people who, in many cases, have left their own land for reasons of extreme poverty, insecurity, exploitation, persecution, or serious deterioration of the environment. He called for an investigation into whether Israel's military actions in Gaza legally constituted genocide. He criticized Israel's attacks on Palestinians and kept in regular touch with the parish priest of Gaza. He called them pretty much every day, by the way, the Gazan church. Like he was incredibly outspoken on Israel's genocide in Gaza. So there are a lot of things that the Pope did that put him in the crosshairs of some of the fucking worst demons within the Catholic Church and its structure, specifically Americans. He was very cool. He comes from a socialist background, a liberation theologist background. You know, some might criticize his actions in Argentina, initially claiming that he collaborated with the regime and allowed socialists to be fucking slain in the process. And this is something that I've actually covered in the past, a couple of years prior. But overall, he was Hamas. The Pope was Hamas.